Hi, I'm Dean Perrine, Executive Vice President of JSA, and on behalf of NetSapiens, I'd like to welcome Mr. Carlos Larson. Carlos is the managing partner at DNA, a software as a service provider to the fintech market. Carlos, it is wonderful to chat with you today and to even talk about cars before we got started in here. So thanks for taking the time to speak with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dean, and thanks for having me. Of course.
You bet, you bet, you bet. So Carlos, why don't we start off by you telling us a little bit about DNA and more specifically QuotingBill, what it's all about, what you do, and where you do it and why.
Right. So basically, DNA is a software as a service company, as you stated before. The funny thing here is that DNA is a spinoff of a hosted PBX service provider. Right. We used to have a company that we sold, but while trying to automate all the processes of a hosted PBX service provider, we started developing what we call DNA. Right. It was basically direct next to G-Access was the acronym for that. Eventually, about maybe almost 3 years ago, we realized that maybe other service providers would benefit from this software that we developed. So we spun it off and basically created this software that we started selling to other NetSapiens partners. So that's what DNA is. That's what DNA was. And now with this new version of QuotingBill, which is what we're here today, is basically our new iteration for the same application, but stripped down to more intuitive and a nicer and better UI UX.
I love it. So you mentioned NetSapiens. That's what we're here to talk about. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your partnership with NetSapiens, kind of how it began, the genesis story there, and ultimately, why you chose NetSapiens.
Right. Funny question, because we had a end of life soft switch that we had to move away from. We came across multiple providers. As you know, there are multiple providers, but one of the reasons we came with NetSapiens is because pricing, obviously, they have that specific call path pricing, which is very attractive, but they have pretty powerful APIs. And we knew that we needed to automate the process in order to concentrate on selling our products and services, right? Hosted PBX. It's a tough industry, so you don't want to have Excels all over the place and quoting applications here, billing applications there, and a complete mess. And at the end of the day, not even billing what you're selling. So we became a customer because they had great APIs that will allow us to integrate the whole process, the provisioning, which is probably part of a wholesale component, but still something very important that you don't want to miss. And so we became a customer, right? We started selling hosted PBX services and started developing what it is today, DNA/QuotingBill. So we became a customer. Eventually, the product got so attractive that NetSapiens saw a value, because since we developed something not only knowing about APIs that anybody can do, but there's a lot of companies out there that develop software for billing. I don't want to name the monsters that are out there, the expensive ones specifically, which are basically all of them. But we knew NetSapiens, so we designed an application based on NetSapiens' own API, based on NetSapiens' own DNA. NetSapiens eventually licensed the product. They gave it a separate number, and they started promoting the application to their customer base. So that's how everything started, and the course that we took throughout the whole relationship that we still have, of course.
Yeah, and that's a great story. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about some of the benefits that kind of highlight the QuotingBill NetSapien relationships?
Right, of course. So that. In this industry, you do some sort of a consultative sales approach first, right? What type of phones, how many lines, how many users, auto attendance, all those things. You need collaboration. You need to have video, chat, all those things. So there's a process that you start quoting a customer and you take them by the hand. This is not somebody that goes in a supermarket and gets cereal, milk, a bag of ice and leave. This is way much more complicated. So we needed to automate the whole process. What we did is we took everything that NetSapiens offers and we placed it into a commercial workflow, right? So everything that you go through the whole customer ecosystem, from the moment that it becomes a lead, from a lead to an opportunity, actually, it is exactly when you're going to quote that customer, all the way to billing this customer. But there was an important thing missing in the middle, which is provisioning everything that you're selling into a third-party application, which is NetSapiens. Right, because anybody can just quote an application a service or a product, perhaps bill for it, right? Just, take a credit card bill for it and then ship it if it's something that you have to ship, or perhaps enable a license if it's a software. But what happens here is that you have to create so many things inside the switch so that ultimately your customer, when they receive an IP phone or even with a soft phone, the moment that you say you're on, you're ready to go, they pick up the phone and they can start making phone calls. They can receive phone calls. They can have a toll-free number. They can have their numbers ported from the old provider to the new provider. There's so many things tied in the middle when it comes to that soft switch that we need to automate. As I said before, we saw those APIs. We worked with them to improve those APIs. Actually, we collaborated between both companies and we improved those APIs with the ultimate goal of whatever 45 IP phones and 45 users and 2 auto attendants that you sold is exactly what's going to be written in the switch on the push of a button. You're not going to swivel chair, go to the separate portal and start entering everything again. Even bulk upload is sometimes, prone to human error. So everything that you quoted, that your sales guy went out and quoted and sold, that's exactly what's going to be provisioned on the switch. So the nice thing is that not only the services are going to be provisioned on the switch and the IP phones related to each user, but we have on our marketplace a component for different vendors, different VARs that sell IP phones. So when you assign a specific IP phone, say to you as a user, and we're going to ship that phone and perhaps in many locations, you expect that these days, of these e-commerce days, that you open that thing, you plug it into the power internet, and it has to work, right? So by having everything automated in a single application and by working with NetSapiens and using their APIs to do so, that's exactly what happens without any human error possible, because whatever you're doing in front of QuotingBill or DNA is exactly what's going to be mirrored over at NetSapiens Switch.
Carlos, that's fantastic. Thank you very much, and an excellent description there. So I appreciate that. Carlos, for our viewers that don't already know, why don't you tell them how they can learn more about DNA and QuotingBill?
Right. So more about QuotingBill, actually, go to QuotingBill.com. Right. It's like all together, QuotingBill.com. And the best thing is that you can sign up for a free account. Tell me who's out there, and we know we're talking about the 3 major other billing companies. Tell me who out there is going to allow you to create a free account forever, meaning it's a freemium. And by definition, go to Wikipedia, freemium means free forever. So who of those will allow you to go to their website, create a free account, and just start playing with it forever? Yes, there's a limit, up to 10 customers. But hey, you can get familiar with it without spending a single penny, right? So go to QuotingBill.com. Please, sign up for a free account. Play with it on the website, right there on QuotingBill.com. We have a community and support link so that when you don't see your application, for example, in the marketplace, your accounting applications is not sitting, go there and vote for it. Because the other thing that we wanted to do here is become a community application, meaning that whoever gets the most votes is the application that's going to come after. So please go to the website, sign up for the free account, and learn about pricing. And sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and think about the other providers and tell me if any of the other providers is even close to our higher tier. So I want to challenge everybody looking at this interview today to go to the website, check out pricing, compare, come back, buy, and be happy.
Carlos, I love it. I'm sold. That's fantastic. Thank you. And again, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.